I'm in Ohio visiting my mom right now, and tell me why. We've been noticing in the mornings that this has been open, this little key code that she has to open the garage. Always like this shut. My mom is a very methodical, organized, like detail oriented person. It is always, always, always shut. I've been visiting here for the last few years since she's lived at this place, and it's always shut. It's been open like that in the morning. Now she has one of those things in her car where you just press the button and it opens the garage or closes it, so she doesn't even have to get out and use that code to get in. And I personally have not touched it or used it since I've been here. But the odd thing about it is my mom noticed that it only happened when I got here for this visit. She woke up one morning, she was pulling out of the driveway to go to work, and she noticed that that thing was up. I'm a little on edge right now because this guy driving this Amazon truck keeps circling the street, and I'm standing out here and he's been circling for like an hour, watching me while I'm out here filming this. So I'm about to shut the door and go inside. But what the heck is that about? Why would anyone have any reason to touch that code? Just for funsies to see if you could crack the code, or like some other reasons? I come from a police family, a lot of officers, detectives. I watch a lot of crime documentaries. So I'm connecting dots. I'm creating a picture. I'm solving the puzzle. And this is primarily a retirement age type community. So like if someone is like trying to target anyone, I'm gonna be pissed. But it gets weirder. One of the times I was visiting here a few months ago, we were sitting on the couch watching a crime documentary, of course, and it was about 11 p.m. going on midnight, and we had gone out to eat earlier that night with my mom's boyfriend. Well, we're sitting there watching the show. His phone rings and he doesn't recognize the name because it didn't say the number of like an unknown person. It had a name of a person, a name of a man. He answers and they were like, you need to come back to this restaurant and like pay your bill, and also your credit card is here, which made no sense. He obviously had his card and like it just didn't make sense. Like, why are you trying to get us to leave our house right now? So he ends that call, and then my mom gets a call like 10 seconds later and it's the same person. She doesn't answer. 10 seconds later, I get a call and it's the same person. Where it gets even weirder is I'm making dinner last night and I get a text and I realize it's the same number that was calling us months ago. And all he said was, I love your music. By the way, what are you making for dinner?
I had to turn on all my lights after reading this story. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about some pretty scary stuff, and today I'm going to be talking about a story that I've been kind of putting off making the video for. And a huge driving factor on this, and now I'm going to be fully transparent about this. I'm not a fan of making videos about demonic things or demons specifically because every single time I've made a video, whether it's my personal experience or if it's someone else's, I hear things in either the background or in the audio and I have to reshoot it, something every single time. I've also had instances where my dogs are growling at things that are not there, so you get the gist on why I'm a little hesitant to make videos about demonic things. But without further ado, let's get into it. The story comes from Lexi, who lives in West Virginia and lives in a very haunted house. She says that the hauntings started around the time when she was 6. Just for context purposes, she was 4 when her parents got a divorce, and her mom started seeing this man when she was around 6 years old, and shortly after, all of these hauntings started. And at first, it was small occurrences, like her mom telling her to pick up her toys, so she would do so. And when they would come back, the toys would be scattered all across the floor. And she mentions during these instances, her mom and her both were afraid because they both knew that it was almost impossible for these things to be happening. But they continue to brush off these little noises, these little occurrences, because they could be coincidental. And Lexi says that this continued for 2 years before her mom's boyfriend moved in, and his parents actually lived down the street from Lexi's mom, where all of this stuff is occurring. And one night, Lexi, her mom, and her mom's boyfriend go down to his parents' house to have dinner. A couple of his cousins were over with their kids, and there was this little girl there who was like 2 years older than Lexi at the time. So, little girl was 10, Lexi was 8. And when they were playing, this little girl just out of the blue says, did you know that there's an old woman who lives in the bedroom upstairs? And at the time, she thought it was creepy, but she just kind of brushed it off, thinking that the little girl was just trying to scare her. A couple days later, her mom is walking up the stairs to use the bathroom, and Lexi just tells her mom, hey, little girl's name, said that there is a woman who lives in the bedroom upstairs. Her mom kind of turns around and is like, which bedroom? So Lexi walks upstairs, gets to the door, and goes to look in and points and says, "This one." And as she does, she did in fact see a woman standing there, very pale, black hair, and a long nightgown. Lexi specifically said that it looked like it was from the early 1900s. And obviously, upon seeing this, Lexi ran downstairs, and her mom was really confused until they got back to their house and she explained the entire situation. Lexi's mom's boyfriend was overhearing this conversation and asked her to describe this woman. And when she did, he then said that they had been seeing that same woman there for years. And this is where things take a turn for the worse. Lexi says from that point on, the encounters in her house that were once very small became very amplified and very scary. And she said specifically that many nights she would feel like there was something in the room with her, even more specifically, watching her sleep. But again, she brushed it off because she thought she was just scared. Until she was having a friend sleep over, and her friend woke her up in the middle of the night to specifically tell Lexi that she had seen a woman looking at her from over the footboard, just like this. And Lexi thought it was a joke until her friend described the exact same woman she had been seeing. And I guess things get even worse because after this instance, Lexi's mom begins telling her that she has been seeing her walk around the house when she's not home. She can hear Lexi talking when she's not home. And Lexi had been seeing this woman in mirrors, like when she's brushing her teeth, for example. And on top of this, and what I think is the scariest, Lexi would hear clapping when nobody else was home, and people talking when nobody else is home. And most recently, she tells me that they have two dogs, and she brought one of the dogs into her room when she starts to hear the other dog whining and a woman talking to her dog. So immediately she opens the door, tells the other dog, like, "Mom's home." The dog does not get up and greet her mom like he would normally do. And when Lexi walks out to go see her mom, she finds out that her mom is not home, her car is not in the driveway, and she is still at work. So again, she goes back in her room, closes the door. Clear as day, hears a woman say, "Come here, where are you?" And she can hear the dog go from whining to barking. So immediately, she thinks that someone has broken into her house. She locks her door, gets her softball bat out, and calls her mom to come home immediately. The dog she had with her began barking, and thankfully, her mom only works like 10 minutes away, so she rushed home. But during the time of her mom coming home, Lexi began to hear heavy footsteps coming towards her door. And Lexi specifically states that the energy felt so heavy, and when whatever was outside of the door got to the door, it got eerily silent, and the keychain she has on her door began swaying back and forth. Her mom then got home, found no one in the house, and Lexi believes that this spirit attached itself to her and followed them home and has not left. Because that last instance happened like 3 weeks ago. And before I get into anything else, I just have to pause and say I've had to cut a couple of things out because I was hearing banging noises on my wall. And if you don't know, now you do. I either film early in the morning or late at night. I do this because then I don't have to worry about outside noises or my neighbors being awake, etc. So I don't know, and it's furthering the I don't like making videos about demons kind of thing. What really freaked me out was the clapping and obviously the lady looking over the footboard. I don't like that. And I swear I can almost see her face when I'm talking about this. And when I read it the first time, I could see her. But, anyways, that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
So, story time. I promise you will be entertained, but if you start the story, please stay till the end. So, when I was 5 years old, my entire family was killed in a car crash, and I was the sole survivor. When I turned 18, I decided to move out of state for college because I didn't really have any friends or family in the area anyway. I ended up going to Massachusetts. When I got there, I didn't really know anybody. It was a totally new environment, it was unfamiliar, it was kind of scary. But eventually, I met a guy at the school. He was really nice. We started dating. Eventually, we got a place together and we lived in that house together for 3 years and we were happy the whole time. Like, he's very, very sweet, very caring, very loving. I just didn't feel alone for the first time and it was absolutely wonderful. But around the 3 year mark, I started going through something. I started not to feel good. So obviously my first guess was pregnancy, so I took a pregnancy test, but that wasn't it. I was having like headaches and stomach aches and feeling nauseated all the time, feeling like extra sleepy, but it wasn't really like life-ruining symptoms. So I just started doing like ginger for the nausea and like soup if I had a tummy ache, a little bit of Excedrin if I had a headache, whatever, you make it work. But the symptoms just kind of kept getting worse. And like sometimes they would be so bad, I'd have a migraine or a nausea to the point that I couldn't even get up out of bed. And my boyfriend's like, babe, I think you should go see a doctor. And I'm like, what is a doctor gonna do? Like, it's not like I can't breathe. It's not like I have chest pain. I just have random unspecified symptoms. What is he gonna do? But he's like, babe, like, you do not feel good. Like, you should go see a doctor. And I'm like, fine, whatever. So he schedules me a doctor's appointment. I go see the doctor, and it's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. The doctor is just like, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, cool. So I go back home, and things don't get better, but they start to get worse. Because now I'm not just feeling physically bad, I'm feeling bad mentally. And I don't mean my emotions. I'm not sad or depressed. I'm dealing with confusion. I keep finding things in my house in weird places that they shouldn't be. I open my kitchen drawer to get out cutlery, fork, knife. All my earrings are in there. I go look at my jewelry rack. All my cutlery's in there. Paintings that were hanged on the wall are like turning upside down. And at first I'm just like, okay, whatever. These things are very bizarre, but they're not really frightening. Like, I'm just trying to make this logical or reasonable in any way that I can. But I'm forgetting appointments. My fatigue is increasing. Like, it's just so much happening. And then it starts off slow. Little shadows of like in my peripheral vision, little sounds. And like you can have those things normally. Like I think we all have those things occasionally, but they're coming more common and more frequent, and I'm starting to lose like time, like whole days I cannot remember. So finally I make myself an appointment. I go see a therapist. She does the intake, my assessment, and she's like, okay, you fit the diagnostic criteria for schizophrenia. So that was kind of like hard to hear, but at the same time, I was thinking, okay, well, now we know what's wrong with me. I can get some help. And my therapist assured me, like, the medication we have these days can make your symptoms like almost nothing. You can go back to living a normal life. And I'm very grateful. I'm like, okay, good. So I break the news to my boyfriend, which was really scary because he was such a sweet and supportive person. I was just scared of being too much of a burden on him or losing him because he was kind of the only person that I had. But he was super sweet, super supportive. He held me while I cried. He went to go pick up my medication for me after running me a bath, like, just really taking care of me. So I start taking my medicines, but things do not get better. In fact, they get worse because any kind of visuals or auditory hallucinations I was having are becoming more and more and more defined. And we switched medications like 2 or 3 times, and my therapist is like, oh, sometimes you gotta switch medications a couple times until you find what works. But things are actively getting worse, and I'm seeing and hearing things in my house, and I know that like it feels so real. So at this point I become convinced that I'm not sick, but my house is haunted. I know that sounds insane, but when you are dealing with so much confusion, bizarre things in your house, bizarre noises, like you become afraid and you're willing to believe almost like anything that could possibly make things better. So I start getting into like these spiritual people talking about the paranormal, and I start trying to like do different things, like I'm burning sage, I'm doing like, whatever. And finally one day my boyfriend has to go help his dad with something. So he leaves me home alone, and I don't fully know what happened, but I do know that apparently I ended up leaving my house a little bit scantily clad. And apparently I was just kind of running around aimlessly, got picked up by the police, taken to the hospital, and obviously psych. And I wake up in the hospital, and as soon as I wake up, the nurse is all over me, like white on rice. And she tells me to just wait right there a moment. And I don't know how much time has passed. All I know is that I just woke up in the hospital, and I'm in a room by myself, completely isolated. There's nobody else there. And she comes back with a doctor, my therapist, three people, a man, a woman, and another girl, and they're all nicely dressed, beautiful people, and they look really familiar to me, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure of anything anymore. And somebody who is not in a hospital uniform, and that person is in a police uniform. So now I'm looking at this cop and this room full of people like, what did I do? What did I do? I'm afraid. So I asked them, like, am I in trouble? Am I in trouble? And they're like, no, 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 you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. But, I'm thinking they're just saying that to get me to, like, talk about whatever it was that happened. So the cop is, he's asking me all these questions. Then the doctor cuts in and asks questions. And the nurse is writing a bunch of things down. And the therapist is writing a bunch of things down. But their questions are, like, mad normal. They're just like, what's your name? How old are you? Where did you go to school? Where did you grow up? Tell us about your family. Da da da. And I'm like, okay, like, where are we getting to all this? And I'm just assuming, I've never been in this situation before in like a psych, whatever. So I'm just sitting there thinking, like, okay, whatever. I don't know their policy. So finally, they end up telling me that they have to give me some news. And my heart is pounding out of my chest at this point because what news are you about to give me? I guarantee you guys cannot predict what the news was. My name was not the name that I thought I was. In fact, I was not the girl that I thought that I was. Apparently, when I was 17, I was working at the country club that my parents were a part of, and I was a lifeguard. And there was a boy there whose family was not part of the country club, but he had like a small summer job washing dishes or something. And he developed a very unhealthy fixation on me. And he made me very uncomfortable, and he was following me and watching me, and my family was very worried about it. My friends were very worried about it, but I wasn't worried about it because I was just like, whatever. I'm going to be leaving for college soon, and I was an Ohio kid, and I was going to the Ohio State University, and I was very excited about that. The boy, when the summer ended, went to college, and guess where he went to college? Massachusetts. The boyfriend that I had been living with for 3+ years, he actually kidnapped me, took me to Massachusetts, made me shave my head and wear wigs, used a combination of hypnosis tactics, medicines, and illegal substances and abuse to brainwash me into thinking I was a totally different girl. He told me that my family had died in a car crash. That was absolutely not true. My entire family is alive and well, and they were the 3 people that were in the hospital room when I woke up. He was using sedatives and hallucinogens and any illegal substance basically he could get his hands on to make me think that I was going crazy so that my dependence on him would never end. Oh, and I know that you're probably thinking, oh, but didn't he tell you to go to the doctor? Yeah, he did. The doctor he sent me to was his dad, who was previously a doctor but lost his nursing license for basically being inappropriate with patients. And get this, his father was a serial unaliver responsible for the deaths of 8 women in Hyannis. And when I was taken into the hospital, they were finally able to identify me and give me my life back. If you stayed until the end of this video, that was completely fake. That was only for entertainment purposes. None of those things happened to me. I do make original horror content. I am an author and a poet. I hope you guys liked my story. If you stayed for the whole thing, if you would like to see more original horror content on my channel, comment down below. I really hope you guys were entertained by that. Thanks.
Let's talk about scary rando nodding. If you're new here, hi. I just talk about some pretty scary stuff, and today I'm going to be talking about my best friend's experience rando nodding. Absolutely crazy, and she just told me about it. If you don't know what rando nodding is, it is this app that you put on your phone called Randonaught, and you set an intention to take you somewhere within a certain distance. You can set the distance and the radius and stuff, and it'll take you somewhere to fill your intention. Many of you might be familiar when those teenagers found those 2 bodies in the suitcase and they posted it on social media. That's what they were using. Anyways, let's get into it. So my best friend was out rando nodding when the sun was still barely up and set the intention to, I think creepy, something like that. They start driving, and they soon realize that they are driving on a gravel road in the middle of nowhere. There are wheat fields all around them because we live in the Midwest, and it's dark by the time that they get out there. As my friend and everyone in the car was like, "This is bogus," a crow flies and almost hits the car. This bird got so close to the car that everyone started screaming. So my friend obviously parks the car because that was really hectic, looks at my friend M, who's in the passenger seat, and kind of looks past his head for a second and sees someone standing in the fields. Now, she tells me she doesn't know what it was and she wasn't sure what it was, so she never told me about it, but her instinct was to get out of there. So that's exactly what she did. She turned the car around and she looked one last time into the field to see if it would still be there, and it was gone. And at that point in time, she's telling me that and she's like, "Well, I don't know what it was." And I said, "If your body's telling you that you just need to go to be safe, it was probably something that was not supposed to be out there with you guys." The crazy thing is, too, that she never told anyone in the car what she saw, either because she didn't want to scare them. But that is one of my biggest fears living in the Midwest is I'm going to be driving at night through a field or something, or on a road next to a field, and I'm going to look over and see someone or something in the field. I think she handled it perfectly, though, by not telling anyone, because if it was me in the car, I would have started freaking out. But that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
Let's read another true and scary story. I was 14 the first time I learned that nature isn't always peaceful after dark. I went to a sleepaway camp in the Appalachian Mountains, the kind of place that is supposed to make you feel safe just because it's surrounded by trees and air. When I stayed on campgrounds, nothing ever felt wrong. I fell asleep in a bunk full of other girls to whispering and giggling, feeling comforted by the noise of people around me. Even when we were asleep, there was coughing, turning, and counselors walking past with flashlights. But the camp offered this optional trip, a backpacking trip, an overnight camping hike on the Appalachian Trail. Only 10 girls were allowed to go. I didn't know anything about the trail or the mountains or the things people don't talk about. I didn't know the history, the stories, and legends, or why people talked about that trail in hushed voices. I just thought it sounded brave and a challenge. The morning we left, we packed our food, sleeping bags, tents, special water purifiers, and anything we needed for survival. The backpack swallowed our shoulders, too heavy for us, like a warning we didn't understand yet. The counselors drove us away off camp and told us rules that didn't feel like rules, more like instructions for survival. I didn't question it because I was a kid. I always assumed adults always had reasons for rules to keep us safe. We weren't allowed to go anywhere alone, not even to pee. If we heard someone call our name, we were supposed to ignore it. We weren't supposed to look back. We weren't supposed to sing, whistle, or play music out loud. Now that I'm older, I don't understand how 10, 14-year-old girls were taken into the wilderness with only 2 counselors who were barely adults themselves. Anything could have happened. We got to the entrance to a trail on the side of a road. No buildings, no signs, just asphalt and trees. They unloaded us and our backpacks and drove away, leaving us there like it was normal. The moment we stepped into the woods, the world felt different. The air felt heavier, thicker, like it pressed against my skin. Like the forest closed behind us and erased the road. The sound of cars disappeared even though we hadn't gone far yet. It was quiet in a way that felt intentional, like the trees were listening. We started climbing up the mountain. The sun was still high, heat sitting on our backs, bugs crawling everywhere. My backpack cut into my shoulders with every step, but stopping felt worse. We walked deeper and higher up the mountain. We walked for hours. As we went deeper, things stopped making sense. A single shoe on the side of the trail. Then another shoe, different size, different color. Sunglasses, half buried in dirt. Small bags. Pieces of people without the people themselves. It didn't feel like litter. It felt like evidence of something unfinished. Sometimes we passed other hikers. Sometimes we passed staircases. Real staircases standing alone in the forest leading nowhere. No building, no ruins. Just stairs rising from the dirt. We finally reached the top of the mountain right before sunset, and the view was beautiful and in a way made me feel exposed. Like I was being watched from every angle. Everything stretched out endlessly, the Berkshire Mountains stretching for miles and miles. Our campsite was close by, so after a quick snack break, we walked there. We had a buddy system, so if we needed to go somewhere, we always had someone with us. Me and my buddy Kayla set up our tent together, hands shaky from exhaustion. We cooked with the rest of the group, we ate dinner, and talked quietly by the fire. The counselors kept reminding us that we had to be inside our tents before dark, like the darkness itself was something that needed to be avoided. No one was laughing much anymore. When the lights started fading, Kayla and I zipped ourselves into our tent. The fabric felt thin. Too thin. I lay on my sleeping bag on top of a small mat, the ground hard and uneven beneath me. I listened to bugs, distant animal sounds, the air warm and still. I told myself this was normal. People camp all the time. Eventually, I drifted off. I woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. My first thought was something is wrong. It was dead quiet. There were no more bugs, no more animals, no more wind. Like the forest stopped breathing. The silence was so complete it rang in my ears. I heard nothing but these slow footsteps. I knew it wasn't anyone from our group. I knew that immediately. If someone needed the bathroom, there would have been whispering, flashlights, more than one person. There were no flashlights, no voices, no second set of steps. It was slow, like it was looking at all of our tents like it had all the time in the world. I nudged Kayla and whispered her name. She woke up, turned to look at me, and said, "What?" too loudly. The footsteps stopped. My stomach dropped. Fear consumed my body, and my entire body went cold. "There's someone outside of the tent. Hide," I whispered, and stuck my whole head into my sleeping bag. I made myself as small as possible. I held my breath so hard my lungs burned. Kayla did the same. The footsteps came closer, so close I could hear the ground shift. It moved right up to the tent, near the clear plastic at the top. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. It felt like something was standing there, waiting, watching for movement, listening for breath. We heard its deep breathing, almost like raspy panting. It sounded terrifying. I hope whatever it was too dumb to understand that there was two people in the tent if we stayed still. It felt like that moment lasted forever until it finally walked away again. I didn't sleep again. I stayed awake the rest of the night, frozen, listening, staring up through the top of the tent, scared it would come back. Kayla eventually fell asleep again, but I kept watch. About an hour later, I checked the time on my iPod Touch because I needed proof that time was still moving and morning was coming. I was playing a game on the iPod to calm my mind when a scream tore through the night. It didn't sound human, but it didn't sound like an animal either. It sounded like something in pain or something calling. I don't know if that was what was standing over our tent, but it sounded like it was really close to us. Finally, the sun came up and we all packed our stuff and hiked back down the mountain. More lost shoes, more abandoned things, like the forest was collecting pieces of people. When we got back to camp, Kayla and I didn't tell anyone because they wouldn't believe us. I don't think we could have explained it even if we tried. I've never gone camping again. I'm thankful I'm still alive to tell this story. Some places just don't want you there. A part of me also feels like flesh pedestrians have been following me ever since. I come across them everywhere in my daily life. They look like people, but if you talk to them, they're not people. They don't talk normally, or they can't talk if you try to talk to them. They stare at me and their gaze will follow me like I'm their target. I live in New York City, so I see them in Times Square and at the store and everywhere I go. I can't help but feel like something is waiting for me to come back to that town or those mountains because they didn't get me the first time. One of my only thoughts was like maybe this could be some sort of like forest dwelling creature like Bigfoot, but because you said that there are flesh pedestrians following you, then I have a feeling that it was probably something similar to that. Thank you so much, Jenny, for sending this story in. This is super spooky, and I'm glad that you have never gone camping again because it's probably for the best. If you guys have any stories you'd like me to read, please email them to me and I will get to them if I can, and I will see you in the next one.
So I really want to talk about the time that I saw a skinwalker. I tell anyone that I can about this story because it is just the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced, and it like sends chills down my spine when I think about it. But I really just like wish that I could have the answer to this whole thing. So I'm going to talk about it. So basically, this took place in Reno, Nevada in 2021. And I had just graduated high school and it was the summer, like a day or two before the 4th of July. During this summer, me and my best friend, we would always just like at night go get food and drive up to this little viewpoint and just like eat our food in the car. We went and got like Chick-fil-A or something, and then we drove to this specific viewpoint. It's an elementary school on top of a hill. So this elementary school, it was on the edge of town, and it's like all the town, suburbia, and then basically just nothing past that. Like it's just like mountains and desert in Nevada. Sometimes we would get wildlife that would like wander from the vast land into like the neighborhoods and stuff. We would get like bobcats, coyotes. We also got bighorn sheep.
and sometimes they would wander into the neighborhoods. That's important. Most nights, especially in the summer when we would park here, there was like a bunch of other cars with other teenagers. But on this specific night, me and my friend go up there and there were no other cars. It was just our car. So it's probably like maybe 10 o'clock or something. And we're sitting in our car. It's dark. We're eating food. We suddenly hear like fireworks, like neighborhood fireworks, like just like pop, 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 pop. And we didn't think anything of it because it was almost the 4th of July. This big truck comes up to where we were parked and it had its brights on and he like blocked us in. He rolls down his window and he starts yelling things at us. And we're like dumb teenage girls, I don't know. So we rolled down our window to hear him because we couldn't hear him. He's like, "You guys are shooting guns up here, like we have got kids sleeping," and yelling at us. And we were trying to be like, "Sir, like we're two like girls in this car, like like we're not like shooting guns up here." And we were trying to explain that we heard the fireworks too. Like we were like, "No, no, like those were fireworks, like don't worry, we heard them, like it wasn't us." Anyway, he's yelling at us and we're getting really creeped out and we're like, "What the fuck?" Eventually he's like, "Okay, whatever," and he drives off. And we're sitting up there, we're alone now, and we're just like, "That was really weird, like that made me feel really weird, like we should go home, like it's a weird vibe now, I'm scared, and like let's just go home." We're driving down the hill, and as we come to the base of the hill, our lights shine up, and our lights shine on this bush that is like 15 or 20 feet in front of the car. And standing behind the bush is a naked man, like the body of a naked man, but the head of a bighorn sheep. And our lights shined on it. Like our lights literally like right in front of us, just like clear as day. Like we saw what we saw. It was just right in front of us. And the image is like burned into my brain what it looked like. Like I can literally close my eyes and see exactly what I saw. It was a naked man with the head of a bighorn sheep. And the moment our lights flash on it, it ducks down behind the bush. Like it sees us and it ducks really quickly. But it was enough time that we saw what it was and it was looking at us. And I was like, did you see that?" to my friend who was driving, and she just turned to me and was like, "Shh," we were just both like in shock, and she was really frightened because it was like, what the fuck was that she just shushed me. She didn't even want to talk about it. She was like, "Oh my god, no, no." So we keep driving because we're like, we need to get home, like this like weird stuff is happening, we like need to go home. So we see that the creature, and we keep driving. And then we drive past like an entrance to those neighborhoods, and the guy in the truck is sitting in his truck waiting for us. And I don't even know what he thought, but the guy in the truck is waiting for us, and as we pass by, he pulls out and starts following us. And we noticed him right away. It was his truck, and my friend is in like a low like fishbowl car, and this guy has his brights shining straight into our car. So literally our hearts are racing. We don't know what we just saw, and now this scary guy is following us and we're freaking out. And I was like, "I'm gonna call 911, like what is going on?" And so I dialed 911, and my friend was like, "Okay, just wait, like let me see if I can like lose him." So we get up to this roundabout, and we go around the roundabout like twice, and then we go and exit, and he follows us still. He's following us, and we're like, he's gonna follow us like all the way home. And my house was over there, and I was like, "Don't drive to my house, I don't want this guy to like know where I live." So we keep driving like all through the neighborhoods, and this guy is still following us. But eventually he just stops following us, and in my mind, he probably thought that we were like some rowdy, misbehaved kids, and he was like making sure we were going home. Like looking back, that's probably what it was, but in the moment, I didn't know that, and it was really scary. So then my friend is like, "Okay, like I guess we don't need to call 911, whatever." So she drives me to my house, and we park in the parking lot, and I just had to say something. I was like, okay, like, what was that thing? But it was just weird because we were so, like, mentally just preoccupied about getting away from this creepy man in the truck that we just, like, had no time to think about whatever the fuck creature we saw, so we were just like, just don't talk about it. But then once we parked the car, it was like, okay, what the fuck was that? And my friend and I, like, we have explained what we've seen to each other, like, what it looked like, and we saw the exact same thing. So when I try to, like, explain this story to my family, they don't believe me. And I've told them this story before, and they're like, okay, like, they just don't believe me. But the thing about my friend is that she's the most realist person ever. She's not woo-woo in any capacity. She's not a liar. She's very, like, to the point about everything. And she insists that that is what we saw. And I don't know, it's like we either saw a literal, like, creature, like a skinwalker, that was the body of a man but the head of a bighorn sheep, or we saw an actual naked man running around an elementary school wearing, like, a hyper realistic mask of a bighorn sheep, which might be just as creepy. I still can't drive past that neighborhood and past that elementary school without, like, literally getting the chills, because I'm like, I know what I saw there. Like, it is so scary. And also, in hindsight, I sometimes think that maybe, like, the universe or, like, something out there sent that man to come, like, scare me and my friends so that we would go home, because that creature was, like, stalking us. That's what it feels like to me. So yeah. Anyway, that's my paranormal story.
Anyone want a scary story? Because this one's going to stay with you. So just be prepared. No, I always say this is one of the scariest stories I've read, but imagine this happening to you. Like, just imagine what you'd do in this situation. So it happened in 2014, and a man takes himself on an evening walk. He does this all the time, almost every night. He likes to get his steps in before bed. It calms him down after his work day. He does it any season, any weather. He loves going on his nighttime strolls. He says it must be about 9:30, and it's November time, so it's pretty much dark. He does his usual everyday route down some blocks, past some parks, and he's on a long stretch of road that he's walking on a path that is adjacent to a park. So as he's walking on the path, he can see through the fence the park. He says he usually sees homeless people in there, groups of youths on bikes doing whatever. But this day, he notices something quite unusual. And at first, he thinks it's just some guy that's really drunk. But he notices a guy dancing on his own, not like a little, boogie. He's like doing the waltz on his own. So he's like got his whole body movement, his head's looking up, and he's doing 4 box steps. But he's noticing that every box step he takes, he's like taking a step forward. So he's dance walking. He's also moving very quickly, and he's pretty much dancing alongside this man while he's walking, but there's a fence and like some hedges and trees between them. He gets a funny, unnerving feeling, and he's like, if this guy's drunk, I don't want to be around him. So he crosses the road. He keeps looking back at this man that's dancing, and this man that's dancing is now on the other side of the path. So there's a road between them, and he's still doing this dance, moving quite quickly, quite animated. Eventually, when he turns to face the guy walking across the road, he notices that his head has not stopped from being straight up looking at the sky, but his eyes are wide open, and so is his mouth. Sorry, what? Just, ooh, the guy's walking quicker. He's like, I need to get away from this guy. I want to go home. He's walking, he keeps on looking back, and he notices that this guy's now out of sight. And he has a moment of relief, like, he's gone back to the park, he's gone home, he's left me alone. Oh no, no. He now notices that he's much more further ahead, so he's moving very quickly. He's crouched down, same facial expressions, like looking at the guy. The guy walking home is shocked. He kind of just stands there and takes a few steps back. The guy that's now crouched down on the opposite side of the road takes big animated, like cartoon-like steps, big strides on his tiptoes very quickly across the road, so they're now on the same side of the road. It's about a car's width between them. This guy really thinks he's going to get mugged, he's going to get whatever. So he shouts to him, "What the fuck are you doing?" But he knows that when he shouts that to him, his voice breaks because of how scared he is. Then the creepy dancing weirdo stands up straight and just takes one step forward, and the main guy takes one step back. And it's like he's very briefly like animating him, like copying him. Man's facial expression changed. He's now got a really big grin on his face and he's edging closer. Man shouts again, "What the fuck are you doing? Leave me alone," and rummages in his pocket, tries to find his keys. This is when the man just stops, turns, and walks away. And pretty much so does the main guy. He's walking quickly. He's like, "I need to go home. This is a really weird experience. This guy isn't normal. I need to get away from him." As he's walking, he keeps on looking back. He keeps on looking back, and the man has just stopped and is staring in his direction. However, the next time he looks back, he's getting bigger. No, he's now just sprinting towards him, mouth open, like a maniac down the street. What would you do in this situation? Oh, this guy just runs away. Says he chases him for at least 2 miles and he eventually loses sight of him when he goes down like a back alley and over someone's backyard and up to an old apartment block where he knew quite well. He was essentially like hiding in this apartment block doorway until, well, this guy was just gone or lost track of him. I don't know. He eventually plucked up the courage to walk home. I don't know how he had the balls to do so. When he got home, he lived in an apartment. He opened up his curtains just to check, and he wished he never did. Because guess who's just dancing the waltz down his street? Yep. The person writing this story said that they never went on an evening walk again. Never did it. Even when they moved out of that city, they never went on an evening walk again because the guy that they saw wasn't a normal guy. What would you do in this situation? Why are people so weird? Honestly, I think there's a subbreed of human because some of these stories are getting wild. So this story is one of the scariest ones that you guys have sent in to me. It's by a girl called Millie, and she prefaces the story with, "It's not too scary." I'll let you be the judge of this. Get comfy for this one and make sure the light's turned on. Just warning you. This all happened in my childhood house. A little backstory. My dad did a lot of ghost hunting as he's very spiritual and he can say he sensed things. Back in 2008 and 2009, we lived in a semi-detached house. It was just my mum, my dad, and me. But all of my family lived on the same street. So just before we moved into the house, my auntie was getting the last little bits of the things out of the house of hers, as her and my uncle lived in it before us. As she was leaving, she decided to take a photo of herself as a little goodbye, and when she looked back at the photo, there was a hand covering her mouth. And she said it wasn't scary. Nobody really thought anything of it, as it was a new phone and they thought it could probably just be the lighting. I don't know if a light could do that, but let's say it was lighting just so we can sleep at night. That was until we moved in the house. Within the first night, my dad said he could sense something. Whatever it was, wasn't inviting. But he just brushed it off as nothing has happened yet. A few months passed and I became very unsettled in my bedroom. The bedroom was at the back of the house. It was very cold and eerie, and my dad again could sense something in there. A couple of nights later, my mum put me in bed in the back bedroom and took a baby monitor downstairs with her, just in case. That's when they first heard something. She was sat down with my dad, just watching TV. When the baby monitor went off, it said, "Daddy, Daddy, where are you, Daddy?" It was a little boy's voice, But of course, I'm a girl, so my dad quickly flew up the stairs to see if anyone was up there. But no, there I was, fast asleep. So again, he just brushed it off, thinking it could have been picked up from somebody else's baby monitor in the area. The next night, it happened again. Daddy, Daddy, where are you, Daddy? I can't find you. She said this wasn't scary. This happened almost every day, and my parents finally ended up putting me in their bedroom with them. One night, after a few weeks, my dad felt the bedroom door open, and he explained he saw a bright figure of a man coming into the room. The man went right up to my dad's face. My dad lay there, pretending to be asleep, with his eyes tight shut. He felt the thing trying to open his eyes. Luckily, my dad didn't open his eyes that night, I'll say. But again, this happened every night. This thing, whatever it was coming into the bedroom, telling him things about my mum that even my dad didn't know until he asked about them. This creature knew everything, even that my mum was pregnant. And after this, my mum and dad found out that they were pregnant with my little brother. My mum decided to keep me in their bedroom for longer and just store my unborn brother's things in the back room. One day, me and my mum went back into the back room to get some clothes as my stuff was also in there, when the door shut behind us. My mum tried opening the door, but we were locked in. It took my dad almost 30 minutes to open the door that day. A few months passed and these things were still happening. There was still something talking to my dad at night. But whatever was speaking to him made it clear it hated my mum, telling him all of the bad things that were happening was because of her. That night, my mum went into labour with my brother. He was born 6 weeks earlier than he should have been. Luckily, he was okay, and she brought him home. About 4 weeks had passed, and my parents were heading to bed with me and my brother. And as they got up the stairs, my dad went with me to the bedroom, and my mum needed to get ready for bed. Without even thinking, she put my brother in my old bedroom, the back bedroom. Just so for 2 minutes. She again took the baby monitor with her, and as she got into the bathroom, she heard scratching on the baby monitor, as if a cat had gotten in with my brother. She ran out of the bathroom to find my brother, blue in the face, with a hand covering his mouth. He wasn't breathing. Luckily, the paramedics, when they came, managed to bring him back. We moved straight away after this. Not long after, the house became derelict and eventually got knocked down. We still experience things now in our house, but whoever this one is a lot more friendlier. My brother is now 16. The amount of times I had to stop filming that because I was paranoid that something was in the room with me. It gave me the shivers. Stories don't really stay with me, but that one really did. Whatever this thing was, had it out for your family and your mum. Oh my God. What are your thoughts and theories on this story? I think it's terrifying. If you want me to read out your scary story, whether it's ghosts, aliens, weird, creepy people, something unknown, DM me, email me, or message me on the other app, and I'll read your story out. That's left me with the creeps. Oh my God.
I am so nervous to make this video. Hello, I'm terrified to announce this to the world. However, I am being forced against my will to say this. But I can see angels and demons and other supernatural beings. Let's talk about it. So this here we are. So story time. In November of 2024, I was texting my brother about Thanksgiving. He had made the decision not to come to Thanksgiving, and I, being his little sister, was annoying him about the fact that he had missed 2 Thanksgivings. Anyway, long story short, I was being a menace. I was telling him that he's rude, whatever, yada yada. And I was doing it on purpose to kind of like ruffle his feathers, as sisters do. And he was texting me back. We kind of were getting into it, and all of a sudden, I felt like I wasn't talking to my brother anymore. I felt like I was talking, and this is going to sound really crazy, I felt like I was talking to an ancient being. Stick with me, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. So anyway, I started to get a little bit freaked out by it, and I was kind of just reading the messages again, like trying to discern honestly what was happening, like where was the disconnect. So I'm looking at my phone, and all of a sudden I'm sitting in my dining room and I'm staring at my phone, texting my brother, and all of a sudden I look up. And when I look up, I am inside of my brother's room. My brother lives states away from me, so that's impossible. I've never been to his house, but I could describe every single aspect of his bedroom, down to like the color of the laundry that was on the bed, and where the windows, and I mean, I could draw it. And all of a sudden I see him, my brother, and I'm standing in front of him in this vision or whatever is happening to me. Or astral projection. I don't know. Um, I'm standing in front of him and I see two. That's my dog. Don't be scared. I see two, what I know to describe as demons, I guess. They're completely wrapped around my brother like snakes, but they were black, big, like this, like big, thick anaconda type, wrapped all the way around both sides of his body. They were black and they had black, hard looking scales, like a black snake mixed with a little bit of like a lizard. Speaking of lizard, when I looked up, once I saw them and I was just kind of like figuring out what I was looking at, I their heads were right here next to my brother's ears, and they were whispering into his ears as he was texting me, and I knew he was texting me. And then in that moment I knew that he was texting me what they were feeding him, which is, I know this has never happened to me. Okay, I'm just as shocked as you are. um anyway, I once I saw them, they kind of noticed that I was there, and they went from talking to him, they looked straight at me and just made eye contact with me and started smiling like this, like this evil smile. And then telepathically, they told me, "You're not talking to him, you're talking to us." And then they started laughing. And then I felt fear. I become completely over. I mean, I was horrified. It was just extremely real. I knew that my brother has been going through some things, and I knew in that moment that this was why. Anyway, so after that, it's like that vision stayed in my mind and I was able to go back and look at it again. And the more that I would look at it, the more that I could figure out what I just knew what the demons were, like what types of spirits they were. I all of a sudden was aware that there were like many more demons, what they refer to as legion, um, in his room, like around him, and I could understand the different rankings of the demons, and some were just higher, like more like general level, and some were just very basic level demons. And I had never had this knowledge before. Okay, I'm one of those people who grew up Christian, going to church with my parents because they made me. I would read my Bible because that's what I was taught I was supposed to do. I prayed. I did not live a single day of my life for Jesus, that's for sure. So this came as it was a shocking experience for me, to be honest. And it definitely changed my entire life. So after that vision, my entire life changed. I remember a few weeks after that, I was rocking my daughter to sleep in her rocking chair one night, and I literally heard the voice of God he asked me pretty much, now that you've seen, pretty much, he asked me if I wanted to see more of the supernatural realm. And very naively, not knowing what that would entail, I said yes. And I think if you say yes to God, you should probably understand the question before you say yes. Because from that moment forward, it was as if the veil completely was ripped, and I now can see demons operating in people. I can see angels operating, and I can see angels flying around. I can see angels with people. I can see people's spiritual gifts. And I, for the longest time, well, really for 6 months, I thought I was losing my mind. I didn't tell anybody. I was terrified that, like, I don't know. People were gonna think I was crazy. But anyway. So anyway, long story short, I started freaking out. I started praying, like, what's happening? Please let me know that I'm not crazy. Please let me know that there are other people out there that are experiencing this. Like, who can I talk to about it? And so one of the first people that he led me to, God, Jesus, was Phoenix from Phoenix. He's here on TikTok and he is wild. Whether you believe it or not, if you saw it, you'd believe it. And I believe it. So Phoenix taught me a lot of kind of about the spiritual realm, and kind of like what I was seeing. And then I actually was privileged to have a call with him a month or two ago, and anyway, changed my life. Anyway, the more that this was happening, the more I had to rely on Jesus to literally teach, like, walk me through it, the Holy Spirit. And I'm changed forever. I was a Christian before, but I know Jesus now. Like, that's very much a difference. I want to say, if you hate Christians, so do I. I think Christians are the worst. I think they're the most hypocritical people in the world. They love to tell you everything that's wrong with you most of the time, and not in a nice way. Yeah, I just had a really bad experience with Christians my whole life. And I don't follow religion anymore. I know Jesus. I serve Jesus. I love Jesus. Jesus Christ is Lord. And he changed my life. And I'll tell you kind of what happened after that. In every aspect of my life, he kind of supernaturally fixed slash had to break first. But it's this whole big long story. And I'm really shy to talk about this kind of stuff. But he pretty much told me that I have to make this video or I'm not allowed to post any more TikToks. So I made it. Okay. Pray for me.